64, talk show by the fans for the fans. I'm here with the homeboy, Young FAK, on Twitter. So today we got a little bit of a change from our usual humdrum of episodes. We're going to be doing a special interview. He's humbly agreed to let us badger him with questions about what he does, tell us some cool things about what he's been working on the last few months. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and tell him introduce yourself, tell him your name, tell him about what you do, where you're from, and we'll just go from there.
Mostly Texas, work my wrist. I guess what I do is I'm the social lead for Need for Speed, which is a franchise at EA Games, pretty much like a street racing franchise and everything. I've been doing that for about 6 months. Before then, I was a corporate marketing director for an engineering company for a couple months, and then before then, I was at TikTok for about 2 years, just doing business AdSense stuff, kind of advertiser experience stuff, cybersecurity kind of stuff. And then right now, I also work for the Houston Hip Hop Museum as a director of museum relations, which I love a lot, and then working for Crypto EQ, which is a cryptocurrency firm here in Houston, which just provides info and stuff towards people looking to get into crypto or looking to learn more about Web3 and everything. So that's kind of like the basics about me.
That's what's up, man. Hey, that the Hip Hop Museum, I was actually out there trying to check that out when I was down in Houston.
Yeah. That was started by my homegirl, Shelby Stewart. She got her master's at UH, and she started the museum about 2 years ago with my homeboy, AP. And he's a creative director, and pretty much we just kind of have it as a workshop. Actually put together some marketing stuff for it. Let me read it because I don't even remember exactly the shit that I put together for it. But pretty much the museum is there to be like a cultural space for the preservation of hip hop in Houston, specifically its culture, as well as just keeping a space for any kind of art, entertainment, fashion, any kind of supplemental pieces of Houston hip hop culture, just hip hop culture in general that we can cultivate in the city of Houston. That's kind of the biggest thing that we do.
That's very important right there because Houston's got rich history. There's so many different artists, and the cultural aspect of that city is just so great. I always rep Houston because that's home. If I get into the little tangent, I'm gonna be sounding like a spokesperson here in a little bit, but that's cool, man. Well, we appreciate all that you've been doing. Speaking of Need for Speed and EA, before we get into that, actually, I got a question for you. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, or PC, which is your favorite way to game in your spare time?
That's kind of a difficult question for me because I can say that throughout my life I've changed. For example, growing up, Tennessee was here in the background. I've been a Nintendo 64 fan for a hot minute. That was my first console was a Sega Genesis, but the Nintendo 64 was the first one that I guess I played regularly because I had that Genesis, but I didn't even know how to set that bitch up. So I was playing for the longest. Then I got a GameCube when I was middle school and high school, and then got a 360 in high school and everything. So I was a 360 ass boy for a little while. But then when I went to college, I got I was gonna get an Xbox One, and I did, but I hated it. So I traded it in, and I ended up getting a PS4. And the funny thing about that is, when I went to go trade in the Xbox One, I don't even know what happened, but I think bro he was either chilling that day, you know what I'm saying, or he just didn't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. This one dude had scanned all my stuff for the trading credit and everything, and then he went to the back room and another dude comes through and he scans all the stuff again. So I pretty much got double trading credit for everything that I brought in. I use that to get.
Oh, so you?
Yeah, like
you basically you finessed. I see.
Yeah, I finessed, and I was just like, oh damn. So I literally like right after then I went to the GameStop that was in the mall, and I got like PS4, like a whole bunch of games and shit like that and everything. So currently I have a PlayStation.
There you go.
This one, motherfucking clean. Let me show you what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, that's my dog back there with my PlayStation here.
There you go. Is that like chrome on it or silver?
It's like some gold plates that I got from Amazon to put on it.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like a tempered plastic or something like that. But, like the style
Dude, that's cool. That is dope, man.
I actually PC game too. Got I had a controller in my PC somewhere, and then yeah. So yeah, I'll be doing that, and then also boom, here's the grip for the Switch. So
Mm-hmm.
I got technically on every platform. I have a PC, I have a PS5, and I have a Switch. So pretty much everything.
But that's good. It's good to be well rounded. You know what I mean? So I need to go ahead and upgrade. I still got the Xbox One. I'm still in the dark ages. Everybody's moved on. They got the Series X or whatever new one is out now. I'm like, I'm so lost. These next gen consoles and everything.
I only got the PS5 because I needed it for work to play the work build.
Right.
I was a PC gamer. Like I was gaming everything on PC, and then I said I'd get a PlayStation eventually, and it just so happens that I sped that up.
Right. Speaking of work and working in the gaming industry, what inspired you to get into the gaming industry? What brought you to working with EA? What you do now?
So that's a kind of a hard question to answer because, like a lot of people, like it was kind of just like a childhood dream. You know what I mean? Like we always like said, like, yo, it'd be cool if I like worked on this company. It'd be cool if I like could work on video games. This be my job and stuff like that. And it was never really my intention to go into video gaming. Hold on, my dog is here. Shh. But it never really was my intention to go into gaming. I just kind of happened to do it. Like I said, I was working at TikTok before, and going from TikTok. Hold on, real quick.
It's got a dog out there trying to join the stream, trying to join the video.
Yeah. Hey, calm down. Yeah, you want to go outside and shit right now? We're not going to do that. At least not right now. But yeah, so pretty much I was working at TikTok, and while I was at TikTok, I also was doing stuff for the Houston Hip Hop Museum, like campaigns and everything. Last year, being 2021, we had 3 different exhibitions. One specifically like was Slabtopia. It was like our biggest event. But not really our biggest event. Technically, our biggest one was Bottom of the Map, which was focused on the people of Houston. Slabtopia, of course, is focused on slabs and everything like that. And just essentially what happened was I was reached out to by a recruiter from EA. And this is actually kind of insane, too, because I had already accepted this job with this other company, you know what I'm saying? Being a corporate marketing director. So I kind of wasn't even really paying it no mind because I was leaving TikTok. I had got a recruiter reached out to me from Twitter and stuff like that, which is I'm glad I didn't accept that shit. But with Twitter, I figured I'd pretty much be doing the same thing at TikTok. So when EA hit me up, I figured they'd be asking me to do the same stuff that I was doing at TikTok. You know what I mean? So I actually didn't even respond to the recruiter at first. They sent me an email, and then I specifically remember the day too. They sent me an email. And I remember I was looking at it and I kind of ignored it because I stayed in Austin, and the EA office that was close to me, it was BioWare, but it was also supplemental, people who do stuff support servers or like do customer service and stuff like that. So I thought that's what they were reaching out to me for. And then it was one day, I'll never forget the shit. I was at Cane's in the drive-thru, and I got a text message from a recruiter. And then she was like, "Yeah, this is blah 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 from Electronic Arts, just reaching out to you, see if we can talk about, just a role." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So basically, I felt like I was humoring them and stuff like that, which was like crazy because I had no idea. Like as soon as I got in the call, she was talking. She was like, "Yeah, so pretty much this is going to be for the social lead position for the Need for Speed franchise." And I was like, "Oh shit! Oh
Yeah, that's big. That's big.
So I was talking to her and stuff, and she said that the reason why she had reached out to me was because I had experience with social media, being on TikTok, and also I was like a strategic marketing manager for Crypto EQ and everything, and stuff that I did with the Hip Hop Museum. But then also because specifically with this new Need for Speed game, there's going to be a heavy focus on hip hop. So they wanted someone who's familiar with both social media as well as hip hop in general. And that's pretty much where they found me.
They said they found their guy. They're like, that's him. He knows ball. We signing him up right now today.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's pretty cool, bro. And so with that, I mean, how's getting a job in the gaming industry, different from getting any other job? What are like the workings of getting that? Is it the same process? They just were they just like, okay, we've seen you done work before. You are fit for this role. Don't even worry about doing the interview. Just go ahead and get started. How'd that go about?
The interview process was crazy because I had 5 interviews that I had to go through with that.
Dang, for just a year.
Yeah, I had 5 interviews, and then I also had like this referral system that I had to do too. So pretty much I explained the interviews. The first interview I had was with the recruiter, of course. So that was cool. Next interview I had was with the global director of community and social media. Cool dude. He's my director right now and everything. That was a good meeting and everything. Gave me some advice moving forward. Cool. What I thought was hard though was like in his background, he had like this whole like setup of like different stuff. It was like mostly it was like Star Wars and Michigan stuff. You know what I mean? He went to Michigan. Like he had like a Heisman up there that was hard. He had like an AT-AT that was like a full size AT-AT. He had
like the not like the little small one, like a
full size like Lego AT-AT.
Oh no, that's huge. Man.
He had like a Michigan theme of like R2D2 painting and everything. Just a whole bunch of like hard ass shit. And it was because he used to work at Epic Games, so he's been in gaming for a minute. He's been in gaming for like 15 years and stuff. And then he also worked on Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront, when it came out. Because being the director of communication, he works on a lot of different franchises and everything. So that was cool. That was dope. After that, I got an interview with the global director of intercommunications. I think just for lifestyle. I think she's just for lifestyle. And lifestyle game include Need for Speed, Skate, which is making a comeback soon. And yeah. So those 3 games, Skate, Need for Speed, and Sims are all under lifestyle, which are like, so like you have EA games and you have EA Sports. So like EA Sports is like cut and dry, it's Madden, FIFA, and stuff like that, blah blah blah. EA Games is divided into like lifestyle games, shooters, and then action adventure. So technically, like not technically, but Sims, Skate, Need for Speed, that's all lifestyle. Apex Legends, Battlefield, those are shooters and stuff like that. Technically, Battlefront is a shooter, but it goes under action adventure because it's Star Wars. And all Star Wars stuff is under action adventure, straight like that. So that's pretty much how it's set up now. And she's the integrated communications director for Lifestyle. So pretty much, it was a cool, dope interview. It was like really relaxed. They were asking me, like one of the questions I thought that was dope was they asked me like, who's a rapper do you think would be a good fit to work on the franchise? Of course, at this time, and I think it's funny that she asked this because my dog's name is ASAP, right? So I think like I showed my dog on camera and then like, oh, his name is ASAP. So then she asked me that question. Do you think would be a good rapper to work for Need for Speed or work with Need for Speed? And I of course said like Currency would be dope. She said people not related to cars. What do you think? I said like Tyler the Creator, Westside Gun. Whole time not knowing that they have ASAP Rocky on the project. And that was cool. Moving forward with that. After that, I had an interview with the global director of brand for, I don't know, I want to say it could just be for Need for Speed or it could be for lifestyle in general. But he's a cool dude, British dude, and everything like that. That was a good interview. He appreciated that I knew a lot about music and cars, which a lot of that came from just inherently being from Houston and everything. There's a big car culture here. There's a big like music culture here and everything. So that's just something that I was familiar with, and I'm grateful to be able to kind of have that in my bag. And then after that, I had an interview with someone who's like my coworker, who's he's the global head of community for Need for Speed and for Skate. So that's Braddock, the community manager we have. He's a real cool dude. Like I love him. He actually sent me like this package of skate stuff, which is like a hoodie, a backpack, a hat, 2 skateboards and stuff like that. And that was hard. And then the last one I had was with my manager, who was the global lead for lifestyle. So like I'm the social lead for Need for Speed. He's the global lead for lifestyle games and everything. Or he could just be like, I don't know, something like that. Because now we have another person who just came in who's kind of like his boss, I guess. But yeah, I had to do all that. And then after that, I had basically like this referral system to where like I had to get referrals from different people who are like coworkers or like managers and stuff like that. So at least 2 of them had to be from supervisors, which I reached out to the founders of Crypto AQ, founders of the Houston Hip Hop Museum, because those are still my bosses. They wrote me some dope reviews and everything. Also got some coworkers to put together some reviews and some homies and stuff like that. And then a couple of days later, they hit me saying that I was good. And that whole process was like from the end of April to the beginning of June, just about, where I was doing all that. So that was a little process for sure.
So about like you said, end of April to beginning of June, so maybe like a 2-3 month.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty interesting. You know what I mean? Like most jobs, at least in my experience, the jobs I've applied for, either they hire you real quick, like you go to one interview and you go to your secondary interview, they do your reviews and all that, and then they're like, hey, here's an offer. Or it takes like my current job, I work in the legal field. I'm like, right, it takes a long time. They got to do background checks. They got to vet you through all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, it takes a good minute. So it's very interesting hearing, that process, seeing the different types of people who you spoke with too. These are like big names in the company. It sounds like, I'd be kind of sweating a little bit talking to somebody who's over like the global things. It looks like you handled it well.
Yeah, it was mind blowing for sure. Like, it was mind blowing for sure. But I will say it helped that I knew what we were talking about being like Need for Speed. Like I knew what it was. I grew up playing Need for Speed and everything. I grew up like also watching Fast and Furious and stuff like that, and just having like that visibility with cars and everything. And then also it was kind of like they appreciated like the passion I had for gaming and stuff because, for example, like Jeff Braddock, he's community manager for Need for Speed and also for Skate, but he's also worked on Apex Legends, Battlefield, like Dead Space. So his whole body is tatted with like tats of like logos.
All the stuff, yeah.
He's worked on, which I thought was cool because when I was interviewing with him, I was telling him like different games that I worked on. I mean, that I played and everything growing up. And to him, it was hard because he was like, man, I remember we worked on this. I remember we worked on that because he's been at the company for like, I think like maybe 10 years or so. And he started, he started from the bottom for real. Like he started out answering phones back when EA had like a helpline that you can call and stuff like that. And he worked his way up to being like the global head of community and stuff. And he's also from Houston, so that was hard too.
There you go. Yeah, it's that grind right there. Yeah. Speaking of your journey, man, you know what do you wish you would have known that would have helped facilitate your journey through all this? Is there something that would have benefited you? Something that you look back on, you're like, dang, that should have been, made known for me so I could know what to expect. What would have helped facilitate your journey through the up to EA?
I think this is going to be something I think about a lot, but just like believing that it was even possible. You know what I mean? Because it seems like a far-fetched like goal or like something that you can accomplish, but it kind of really isn't if you like really. And it's going to sound cliche, but you really put your mind to it. You know what I mean? Because I remember there was a time when I was in college. I went to A&M. I was there. I studied political science and stuff. So like my goal was, so I was a legal writer too. So like I was fully ready to go into like law and stuff like that, which it's not that like, I didn't like legal stuff because I fucking did. Like I had constitutional rights and liberties, my favorite fucking class, like in school and stuff. I actually liked stuff like political parties, game theories, like a lot of different classes I had, but I kind of eventually realized like, yeah, this shit cool. It's cool for me to have in a tuck. It's cool for me to like have this knowledge, this visibility over these kind of like subjects and topics and stuff. But I don't know if this is something that I kind of want to do. Like, just, it's going to sound kind of weird, but just because like, I don't really give a fuck. I don't really give a fuck that much, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was working at the law firm and stuff, and I'm put into positions to where like, our firm is representing people who like, I don't really like, I wouldn't want to represent on my own, or it makes me feel some type of way, like thinking about stuff that we're going through and stuff. And then even like the idea of why I want to be like a lawyer and stuff. I didn't want to do that shit. The only reason I did is because like it made my mom feel better. You know what I mean? Like growing up, I wanted to make cartoons. Like that's the shit that I want to do. Is like make cartoons. Like, I still want to do that too. Like making cartoons, making shows and stuff like that. That's kind of like the bag that I was in. And just like knowing that I could do something fun, that like yeah, it's not the easiest thing to like be able to do, but like it's possible for sure. Like now, like the biggest thing that I always tell like the homies, like there's a lot of homies who hit me up and they'll be like, hey bro, like trying to I fuck with the shit you're doing, blah blah. I'm trying to like be like you, I'm trying to, or even just like, hey, can you put me on to get into the industry like this? And I'm like, yeah, like hell yeah, because honestly, like we need that. Like for me, I have a homeboy. His name is Nick Carter. He works for Obsidian, right? He's a world designer, level creator, stuff like that. Whatever you want to say. But he works for a developer. Like I work for a publisher. He works for a developer. So like when I saw him like do that, because like this is a nigga I went to school with, like had same classes with and everything, like rode home from school together, like track practice, like same type shit, like same like that's my OG on some real shit. So I'm seeing him coming up. He got like a degree, like he also went to UNT. Like you probably
Mean Green, yeah.
You probably know him, Nick Carter. You know him?
Yeah, I think I do. I might.
Yeah, Nick Carter. Like
usually, I remember people by their Twitter names because that's how everybody found me on Twitter. But
he's Lil Carter 832. Lil Carter 832.
Lil Carter 832. I'll try and look him up in a little bit.
Yeah, my boy, he went to SMU too. Got his graduate degree, like doing like new media and art and everything. And then next thing you know, he's got this job, and that shit was fire to me because it's like, yo, that's the homie. That's like. I love seeing stuff like that, and it lets me know, like, yo, like, all right, it's gonna be funny because I remember Big Hawk, like, it was like there's a story of how Big Hawk started rapping and everything, and it's pretty much summed up to Fat Pat went over to DJ Screw's house and started freestyling. He heard his little brother freestyling and was like, damn, Pat could do it, we all could do it, and then boom, that's how they all started rapping like that, and that's kind of how I see it now, like. if one of us can do it, we all can do it. And like, I'm grateful for it because it allows me to like provide a voice to a franchise that has kind of been lacking a particular voice for a while. You know what I mean? So that's something I just appreciate for sure.
Oh, that's good, man. I'm glad you said that because that's kind of why we started this whole our whole channel. Not to get into a whole soapbox about the podcast here. The Podtastic Four was started, as by fans for fans, and it was really meant to be more so like so people can see themselves, see representation of themselves in this type of industry. In the comics world, the pop culture world, we talk about everything. So it's really great to hear you say that because that lines up with everything that we've been trying to do here. And like we're young, we're just getting started, but I mean we built up a group of people who kind of align with all that, and I really do appreciate you sitting down with us for this.
Oh yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Like I said, like it's just this is just something dope. Like I've been able to like reach a lot of people, talk to a lot of people, like that. I never even thought like I'd be able to talk to. That shit's crazy. But just being able to be in the space and doing so much for like Need for Speed and like the story of even just like how this game came about in itself is like crazy. And I'm just glad like it's gotten the reception that it has gotten because people are calling this the greatest Need for Speed in generation. Some people are saying this is the best Need for Speed since Need for Speed Most Wanted. Other people are dead ass saying this is the greatest Need for Speed ever. And just like being a part of a game that kind of is even in that conversation is hard because I know like that shit is history. You know what I mean? Like that's video games. Yeah, so.
For sure, bro. Especially like speaking of Need for Speed, like Need for Speed Unbound too. Man, I played a lot of video games. I played a lot of racing games in particular. I played, let's see, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is probably the one I put in the most work on because like I just thought that game was pretty insane. It was great. The OG one and then the remastered one came out on the Xbox. I was like, oh heck yeah, I'm about to jump back in on this. You know what I'm saying? So I played that. Need for Speed. Bro, Heat was okay. I didn't play it too much because there's all types of other games going on, but I guess it's more fun jumping on a game like Need for Speed. Different things you can do, different like challenges versus and this is not to shade another game or like Forza. I love Forza too, Forza Motorsport, but it's just kind of racing. It's more of the technical side of racing and vehicles and all that. I'm like, I like that, but I'm not trying to do that right now. I'm trying to just go drive off a bridge, something crazy like that,
Yeah.
Tune up my car.
You break down like the racing franchises and everything. You kind of see like where the differences are and where they kind of line up. Like a game like Gran Turismo 7, for example, like that's a full sim game. Like that's a full sim racer. Like you're not doing anything in that game that you can't do in real life. Whereas like Need for Speed is like a full like arcade street racing experience. Like for lack of a better word, like Fast and Furious kind of as a video game. And then you have Forza Horizon, which is kind of in the middle. Like it's kind of like SimCady. Like you're not like you're not doing shit like like busting drifts and then immediately breaking through like a billboard and stuff like that while escaping the cop. Like it's not no movie shit you're doing, but it's still like cool car shit. But one thing I know that people have like kind of pointed out between the differences between like just I've been looking at reviews and stuff as we have to do and everything, and people have been saying that there's a good middle ground with this game because it's not as grindy for money as Gran Turismo 7, which a game like Gran Turismo 7 it has like a million cars in it, so they have to put some kind of grind mechanic into it. But it's different from like Forza, whereas in like Forza you start the game out with like 15 different cars, so there's not really any incentive to kind of like have an attachment to your car. Whereas like with Need for Speed, it's now we decided to go back to kind of that root of like finding a way to make the player attached to the car that they have, like as if it's their real car. And I think the game,
building that relationship with the vehicle.
yeah, I think Criterion has done like a really good job of like making that happen, like through the story and through just like the kind of progression that the game has. Which from the beginning, like it had a lot of people shook. I know that's for sure because like people were like hitting us saying like the game was too hard and stuff, like saying like the cops need to be turned down, saying like yo, why is it that I only have a certain number of restarts and stuff? And being hey bro, like it's the experience like that people been asking for. It's the like this experience is a certain type of experience you can only get here. Like it's basically like a high risk, high reward kind of thing. Like if you're out on the block in Need for Speed in this game, whether it be nighttime or daytime, you can build up heat, and then that rolls over to nighttime. So yeah, you might have been wanting to do some races, but you might have built up a little level 5 heat. Now walls are swarming everywhere, and I've played the game enough to now like a level 5 heat don't mean nothing to me. Like I'll just keep trying to play the game because like I've learned like what it is that I have to do to shake the cops for me. Like it's a part of the game. It's just a part of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't make it any worse. I mean, any less hurtful. Like when I get busted and I'm like losing like 107,000, 107K. But like regardless, it's in the game. You know what I mean? No pun intended. But that's just how it is.
I see that little EA reference right there. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. And I mean, when you drop. Oh, go ahead.
I was saying this game is different in a lot of aspects and trying to like return to that fundamental need for speed, like kind of feel, and it's jarring for a lot.
That's one of the things I really did like about when you dropped the trailer on Twitter. And like I saw it the day, like literally like a minute after you dropped it, I had checked my phone and I was like, oh yeah, you already know what's going on. I'm about this. Like this is it. I was hyped. I was pumped up. I saw ASAP. I was like, boy, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And like I've been playing Forza Horizon a little bit, and like what you're talking about, how it being like SimCady, that's fun and all, but like the excitement I had watching just that little trailer from the Need for Speed Unbound, I was like, nah, bro, I'm jumping in this game. The second I get home and the second the game drops, I'm putting it on my Xbox. Like I'm about to be tuned in. You will not see me because I'm gonna be logged in racing every day. I'm gonna turn to a gearhead. I'm gonna look like Dominic Toretto, like Tyrese and Fast Six, walking around with a leather jacket and driving my Mustang, all that. So it's just a good announcement, It really did drum up a lot of, and I was watching people's reactions on Twitter too, because like I tune into that kind of thing too. I watch it for myself and I see how everybody else is reacting to it. I was like, this is gonna be something good. So y'all did a bang up job. Word to everybody at EA. If you haven't right now, go ahead and get Need for Speed Unbound. This is y'all's free plug. I wasn't here to do a promotion, but you know what? I'm going to do it because got a rep for the boy. Go ahead and get Need for Speed Unbound and go and log those hours, play, learn the game, have fun. Speaking of EA stuff, you had mentioned the separation between like the lifestyle and the sports, EA Sports. Do you do anything with the sports games at all, or is that just completely separate? You don't really, I guess, do any...
Myself right now, I haven't done anything with the other sports games. Technically, I have because I've collaborated with the other racing titles at EA and Grid and Grid Legends and Formula One. Like those are technically EA Sports games. So like that's pretty much like what I've done for the most part. Which it'll be like collab efforts, like when Need for Speed dropped, all of them jumped on to support your boy with like all the efforts and promo and stuff like that. So that was and then just sometimes I might like involve myself in shit. Like there was this one time when Battlefield and Call of Duty, Battlefield basically congratulated Call of Duty on their launch. And then they like said like, oh yeah, appreciate y'all, blah blah. So me, I hopped in and was like, hey yo, gang squad, blah blah. Everything. And then people just thought that was like a funny like kind of engagement and everything like that. So I do stuff like that, like as far as like engaging with other EA brands, just because like I think that shit is kind of cool. I think it's because like I mean I think about it like this like. Before I worked at EA, if I would have seen something like that, that would have like at least made me chuckle. You know what I mean? And I feel like people like kind of appreciate that when brands get meta and they start interacting with each other. So
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool. And then
it does make me laugh. Seeing an official branded account talking to another official branded account the same way like how you and I interact on Twitter, just be tweeting back and forth or what have you. You know.
That's kind of what people appreciate with what I've done with the Need for Speed community because before, like, I don't know, it's kind of weird because it's like Twitter, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the only thing on like social media as far as like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, when it comes to the official Twitter of a video game, most of the time, you don't really hit them up for questions. You know what I mean? Because, like, realistically, you can't answer all your questions through social media. And two, you just can't. Like, there's like, you know, like portals for you to reach out for that. There's, like, EA Help. There's, like, different shit like that where you can, like, reach out and everything. But, like, when it comes to, like being a brand, like most of the things that we do is just like, you know, talk about the brand, like support the brand and everything like that. And I just felt as though like as Need for Speed, there was like a community of people who are committed to Need for Speed, which I kind of knew about, but I didn't know about as much until like I started, you know, working on the project. And then there's also people who, you know, used to play Need for Speed back in Gap. So it's like finding a way to kind of appeal to both of those people. You know what I mean? And that wasn't really too difficult because I kind of like there's some overlap with that. You know what I mean? It's at the end of the day, you just got to talk to people like you're human, and then they receive it pretty well.
There you go. There you go. Speaking of, you know, and I know you mentioned the other aspects of EA. There was an announcement about some Marvel games that we saw earlier this year. What do you know about that? What can you tell us about the Marvel games and the works? Do y'all have any involvement in that? Is that all going to be, I don't know what exactly you can tell us, because since that's so hush hush and far away, but.
So thankfully, like everything I know is everything the public knows. So like, all I can say is that there's a deal with Marvel, which is really exciting. This kind of allows EA to publish a good number of Marvel's IPs the same way that they did with Star Wars, which I kind of see, like, I'm sure that's kind of where that came in through like the Star Wars partnership. No idea if that's how it is, but I'm definitely excited because like EA didn't develop Marvel games back in the Gap. I think that was Activision who published.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So, or I don't even know if Activision is a publisher or developer. I'm speaking right now. Oh yeah, they're a publisher. Okay, yeah, because of Call of Duty. Okay, yeah. All right. But yeah, like I think it would be cool because you know EA used to do the Harry Potter series, which
right.
They used to do Harry Potter and they used to do Lord of the Rings. And people also don't know that EA also did Godfather. So they did Godfather, they did Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter. So when it comes to like IPs, EA has a history of doing pretty well with them. And then we've seen like with Star Wars, like with the with not Survivor, but Fallen Order. That like they do really good work with that. So I'm excited. It's interesting and it's kind of a coincidence because have you heard of this game Marvel Snap?
Yeah, actually, Graham, he was gonna be here tonight, but he's tied up on something. But He's been playing that, like, he's kind of our guy on it right now. I saw the ads whenever we first launched our Twitter page for the podcast. A lot of different ads were popping up for Marvel Snap. And I was like, okay, I'm here. You know, we're running a social media page. I'll check it out. I was like, I haven't had time to really sit down and dive into it, but Graham's been looking into it. He's like, dude, this game is fun. I was kind of hesitant at first, but this is a lot of fun. I'm like, okay, all right, I'm going to jump in too.
You know, it's crazy, man. I play tested that game when I was working at 600.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I remember.
Yeah.
I think it's partially developed by ByteDance, but I remember they were just like, hey, guys, we want an opportunity to play test a game based on the Marvel IP. As soon as they said that, I was like, oh, yeah. Like, so we all jumped on it.
They said Marvel, I was like, they signed me up.
Yeah, and it was like a card game. It threw me off at first. I was like, what? But then I started playing it, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Yeah. It felt like Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, that's what it felt like to me. It felt like Yu-Gi-Oh! But of course, it wasn't inherently. It isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like it's a card game kind of thing. Like, because there's like Magic the Gathering and stuff like that, and like Duel Monsters. It's kind of like just like a card game that they put together with Marvel that works pretty well. But I thought that was dope when like it came out, because like I remember looking at that and I was like, I know that ain't who I think it is. It was Marvel Snap. I was like, yo, I remember playing this game. And then I'm seeing like everywhere and shit. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too, because that, and then another Marvel thing that's funny is Marvel Midnight Suns came out the same day as.
I saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a game that I might play because it's different. It's different. It makes me. I think people said that it kind of feels like Shenmue. Kind of feels like it just feels weird. You know what I mean? Like, it's like because it's a real time strategy game, but then you also do stuff like go fishing with Blade or go like hiking with Wolverine and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, you know, let me see what they're doing. So yeah, that's something I do want to check out. I really like. Actually, let me not say that. I have really liked Marvel games growing up. Really liked Spider-Man. That was fire.
Like the PS PlayStation Spider-Man game.
PlayStation Spider-Man. I got
the Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, I had Ultimate Alliance growing up. My favorite one to play actually was X-Men Legends. I love that game so much.
There you go.
Yeah, X-Men Legends.
Yeah, you're bringing it back, man. These are old games.
X-Men.
That's the stuff we grew up on.
Marvel versus the Marvel Nemesis, Rising Imperfects, and stuff like that. Like, those games were like super tough. Like, those are the kind of games I grew up playing. I grew up playing like RPGs and stuff like that. Big Pokemon guy, playing like Legacy of Goku 2 on Game Boy. That was my shit.
Those Budokai Tenkaichi games.
Yeah.
The OG Dragon Ball game.
I didn't have a PS2, so I didn't have Tenkaichi 2 or any of the Tenkaichis. I had Budokai 2 on GameCube, which at the time, like, I thought that game was goated. Now I look back and I see like it was kind of goated, kind of not. Yeah, but,
it's one of those you gotta debate.
Yeah, and then I had Raging Blast on 360, so like played that a lot. But I got tired of Raging Blast because I don't know. I feel like that's when you started to lose the soul in Dragon Ball games. You know what I mean? It seemed like they were just. But that's kind of how I feel about all like 360, PS3 era like video games. Like, I feel like we kind of lost the soul in gaming during that era because we were just worried about the graphics looking good in HD, worried about like in like sports games, you were worried about like realistic physics and stuff like that. This big rise of like first person shooters and stuff like that, and just like like, you know, like network gaming and everything, and it just, we lost kind of that feel of like, you know, just like gaming to game. Like, you know how you play, like maybe like the PS1, PS2, Nintendo 64 era, you play the game. The game might be like absolutely ridiculous don't make no sense. The game is fired. The game is fired. Like it's just a fun game to play. Kind of lost that. Like when we get to the point when we're playing Madden and we're tripping over our linemen's feet because they want the game to feel real and it's not even fun no more. Like that's the point that we got.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're playing 2K and we're worried about like how good the sweat looks on players this year and stuff. It's like, bro,
Yeah,
it's like,
the aesthetic stuff that no one really cares about. How many follicles of hair are on LeBron's head? I don't care about that. I'm here trying to play. I'm trying to dunk on people. I suck at 2K. I'll be real with y'all. I'm terrible at 2K. I'm getting better, but I'm terrible. But like you said.
That being said, though, when you see a game like God of War, or you see a game like even Spider-Man, or even like Selfish Plug, like Need for Speed, like when you see these games and these games and stuff that they have, and you see how good they are, and then the gameplay is innovative, like that's a breath of fresh air, because it kind of shows you that the priorities are still with the gameplay. You know what I mean? Elden Ring 2 is crazy. Like I've been playing that song. So
Yeah. You had spoken about Star Wars earlier, and Graham had a question for you about that. So with Star Wars, we already got Fallen Order, Jedi Survivors coming up, and Graham want to know how far into Cal Kestis' story will they go through in the video game medium. Do you know anything about that? You know, if there's any like plans for a trilogy of these games, like is there going to be a Jedi Fallen Order, Survivors, going to be like Jedi Warrior, something like a third game, just to keep the series going, or?
So, I will say that I don't have too much visibility on it, but I do have a coworker who was pretty much like my onboarding buddy. She's real dope. She's the social lead for Star Wars and Dead Space. And
okay.
She like keeps like visibility over that stuff. I personally, I haven't like talked to her about Star Wars, or actually I haven't talked to her in a minute since like we've been focusing on our launch and everything. But I think just from what it seems, I don't know anything about Cal's story and this one coming up. I do see he got a goatee, which lets me know he's looking at that jump. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
I can see them closing it up with a trilogy, honestly, because to me it just makes sense. It makes sense in a narrative sense, a gaming sense, and also in a Star Wars sense for trilogy. You know what I mean? You just got to do it. So I could definitely see it. I don't know anything about the game story now. I haven't played a build. I might see if I can get one just to play it to see what's up with it. But I know I still got to get into Fallen Order. Like I kind of pussied out of that because I was getting my ass whooped in it, so I need to hop back into that. But I'm gonna be real. Like I think this game is gonna be just really dope because Fallen Order already had like a Metroidvania / Souls like kind of feel to it. So I can only imagine like what they're gonna have with this one. But yeah, it's gonna be real. I think that's gonna be just really exciting. Just seeing what they have. One thing about my coworker too is that she currently works on Star Wars and Dead Space, but she used to work at Warner Bros. And then before working at Warner Bros., she worked at DC, right? She worked at DC, and her desk was right next to Jim Lee's desk.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh wow! Oh my God! Yeah, dude, that is awesome.
That blew my mind. I was like, "Yo, no way!"
Yeah, I'd have been like, "You for real? Are you dead ass? Like, yo."
Yeah, she lives in LA, and I guess that's where like there was offices and stuff with her. But like, so like working at DC and then also working at Warner Bros., she had like a lot of visibility on like Warner Bros. Projects and stuff. Like one thing she told me about, because like I'm also a writer too. So like I'll be writing and shit, you know what I mean? But like one thing I've always wanted to do was write a story for Static Shock, like write a storyline for Static Shock and everything. And
girl, yes.
Yo, they're working on a Static project at Warner Bros. Right now, apparently. I don't know how far in development they are, but like she was like, yeah, like my old coworker, he's like working on the Static Shock project right now, blah blah, and everything. So that's just insane. Like having like that kind of connection and knowing like, yeah, they got shit like that going on. And she also got like, a gang of like a gang of boxes filled with like unopened comics and shit. Trying to get her to see if she could send me like some of that. You know what I mean? So,
hey, let me let me get a little,
because like
it was a little stack right here.
First time we got on a call, I had like a copy of Watchmen like in the background. She was like, "Oh yeah, I see that Watchmen and stuff." And she was like, "Yeah, I got like 3 or 4 copies of Watchmen. I used to work at DC, blah blah stuff like that." Oh, like, oh, damn.
Damn.
Yeah, that's cool. So like being close to those franchises like Star Wars and even like Apex Legends and stuff like that, that's cool because it always kind of blows people's mind. Like when you kind of tell them what you do, you know what I mean? They're like, yeah, what do you do? And I'm like, oh yeah, I work for, it depends on what I like have to say. Like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I work for EA. And then sometimes you have to explain to them what that is. They're like, what's that? I'm like, oh, like EA games and stuff like that. Like, oh, okay. Sometimes I'll say electronic arts, and I'm realizing a lot of people don't know that like EA stands for electronic arts. So I'm like, yeah, I work for electronic arts. I'm like, okay, what's that? I'm like, you know, like the video game company, like it's in the game.
They're like, oh, EA, oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
As you can imagine, I get a lot of people who say like the EA Sports like jingle to me, and they'll be like, oh, EA Sports is in the game. So I got some shit like that a lot. But it's just it's really like a dope experience. Like I said, like. I came from. Do I have an EA game here? No, I don't. I don't have.
You better.
I used to have NBA Live. I had NBA Live 2000 for Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64.
That's a throwback right there, man. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that game's so old.
My first EA game.
Yeah.
NBA Live. I have a football game somewhere. But yeah. I just the gaming shit is crazy because. I got this love for gaming, but it also lets me see like the different pockets of gaming too. Because the kind of gamer I am, I realize like I'm the kind of gamer that grew up playing some RPGs, heavy sports games, like heavy Madden, heavy like 2K, heavy NBA Live, some Pokemon and stuff like that, and everything. And I'm seeing that like type of a black gamer essentially is something that's like very, very niche to us. Like it's something that I don't have to explain it to like a lot of people, but then like when I talk about the kind of games that I grew up playing compared to like, for example, like I never played Dead Space or Mass Effect, none of that until like I worked at EA because I was so far removed from those games. Like when I was playing, like I was already playing like a different type of game. You know what I mean? Like I was already playing a different genre of game. I was still playing like I wasn't playing any IP games anymore. Wasn't playing any like, you know, certain type of games like that. So that kind of stuff wasn't on my radar. And even just like those one player games, you know, like one player games, like there's kind of like this stigma on like one player games when it comes to like black gamers, like for us growing up. Most of the time, the kind of games you got was the games that the homies had, just in case the homies came through, so y'all could play it, and then you know you could whoop the homies at it. That's kind of how
right.
That's most times it was multiplayer games. It was fighting games. It was sports games. It was racing games. Stuff that if somebody come through, I'm gonna give them this L on it. That's most of the time the kind of games we played. You didn't really like yeah, you might like you had like the Final Fantasies, you had like the Pokemon and stuff like that, but those were kind of like that wasn't like a universal experience that you could share with everyone, just for the fact that everyone wasn't playing those. Like I know for me, like I had some homies playing Pokemon, not a lot of them. You know what I mean? And it's like that. But being able to find like the pocket in gaming, like right now, like I went to DreamCon last year. Literally the week before I started at EA. That shit was hilarious. And I met Zeno Robinson, who voices Go on Pokemon Journeys, and a number of other people, you know what I mean? But he was telling me how like he has a friend who works at EA on Apex Legends. Like I think he's like a story writer, like a background writer for. He writes for Newcastle, and I thought that was dope
Okay.
because, like, this is me. This is a black gamer, and Zeno Robinson, like, yeah, he's a voice actor, but inherently he's a gamer because, like, Pokemon. You know what I mean? And his homeboy who does stuff like that, like, that's dope to me because we can still be ourselves and everything, and then come together with his gaming stuff, and that's what I appreciate. That's what I appreciate with Need for Speed, especially because I'm not told to hide like the type of emojis I use. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I use an emoji that has a hand in it, it's gonna be a black hand. It's gonna be like, you know what I'm saying? That's just because that's what that is. And even like the initial response from people who are seeing me control like the Need for Speed socials, and they're just like, "Yo, who is this white person pretending to be black?" Like, people have to get over that and realize, like, nah, bro, like, this how we going. This how we moving right now. This is what it is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and it was kind of uncomfortable at first because, like, I had a lot of people, calling me cracker, you know what I'm saying? Calling me, like, all kind of stuff. But, like, fortunately, I shook the table enough and, they backed me up when I did that to where, like, we're at where we're at now. And that's cool, you know what I mean? Like, now we have, we have people like fucking Currency wanting to work with us, you know what I'm saying? We got like Currency, we got like Cardo, we got like Xavier Wolf, we got goddamn Mike Dean, like all these people who like have this visibility on like the stuff that Need for Speed is doing. And also it helps a lot that Rocky was involved in it. You know what I mean? Because they see Rocky in it.
Oh yeah.
And that's something I think people have like not realized. It's been a minute. So like Rocky was actually supposed to be on the cover of the game. He was supposed to be on the cover of the game, but shit happened with his own stuff right now to where he ended up not being on the cover. But when was the last time we had a rapper on the cover of a game? It was literally Exhibit in like fucking one of the NFL streets. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even have
one of those, like, the Def Jam games, maybe.
Def Jam didn't even have a rapper on the damn cover of the game.
That's right, yeah.
Like, it was just a blackface dude, you know what I'm saying? Even Def Jam Fight for New York didn't have a rapper on the cover of the game, too. It was the generic character, you know what I'm saying, with the rappers underneath. So, like, just that in itself, people don't realize, like, Rocky grew up playing Hot Pursuit 2. Grew up playing Hot Pursuit 2. He said that in an article, like, that's his shit. So, like, for him to be in this game, like, this is a dope experience for him. And a lot of people kind of sleep on that in itself because, we used to be all in the game. You know what I'm talking about? Like, that EA Sports big era, you know what I mean? The Def Jam games, the street games and everything like that. NBA Ballers, NBA Phenom, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Even, like, one of the greatest games of all time, San Andreas. Like, that was our culture, that was us and stuff like that. And there's a place for us in gaming that has been lost because the novelty of having niggas in games is kind of like, faded away. It's really what it is, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, no one is gonna make a game like, I don't think anyone would make a game like San Andreas right now just because of the flack that they would get from like, oh, you're making a game that's like got all these people acting this type of way and degenerate and stuff like that, even though it's Grand Theft Auto. San Andreas itself, like, that game was very nigga. That game was that game was very nigga. And it was made by like some British dudes at Rockstar. And they hit that hole, but I don't think they would have the power to be able to make a game like that fresh from the ground up and not get no flack. Straight like that.
They definitely probably get a lot of pushback from just general audiences too, not even just the community. They probably get just random people from outside who don't even touch video games be like, man, what are y'all doing? Like, what do you know about this experience? This is not your life. Why are you trying to cosplay or something like that?
Yeah. So
I think that's,
if there's an experience that you want to make that is in a similar Hold on. You can hear my sound is good, right? I want to make sure.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, we're good.
But yeah, if you wanted to make a game in a similar vein of like a San Andreas right now, you would need to get black people like off rip. You can't do what Rockstar did. I mean, they did get black people. Let me stop bullshitting them, because the entire cast is like actual rappers and goddamn like musicians and like Clifton Powell as Big Smoke. So they did involve black people, but like if you were to make a game like San Andreas right now, you would definitely need like a black like game director, a black like brand director or something at least. You know what I mean? Like you would have to
somebody who's in charge of story and someone who knows what they're talking about. They're not just looking from, I don't know, outside looking in, news reports, just kind of come up with something.
Yeah,
something from their just off the top of their head or whatever their perception is.
They got DJ Pooh to be the person that's kind of like their, you know, make sure everything is cool and everything. But I feel as though if they were to do that now, DJ Pooh would have to have like a significantly larger role in constructing the game or someone to that equivalent. Which with Need for Speed, that person for us was like our brand manager Chase. Chase is white, yeah, but they're really good when it came to like the music stuff because they reached out to a professor of hip hop, like literally a guy who has like a PhD in hip hop, essentially, Dr. Lean and stuff like that. So like they did what they needed to do to follow through, got everything and stuff like that. Only thing is that only thing like from there is to just like find some way to, because Rocky is to some degree, like even though he's a big figure in the industry, he is to some degree removed from this current upcoming generation. You know what I mean? Rocky is he's our generation. You know what I'm saying? When we was in high school, like the tapes and everything, like us in high school to college, that was Rocky. Right now, he's a GOAT figure in hip hop essentially to a lot of these young dudes. So the next step would be to like, how do you like crack into being that old head of hip hop into like the current generation of hip hop? And that would be like, you know, for any video game moving forward, that's what you would want to do. You know what I mean? And
kind of introduce them to the old school, so to speak. You know, let them have something new, but with that flavor from the old school. That there's still something about the stuff that we grew up on, that we listen to. I even think past that. You know, sometimes I'm like, man, you know, rap music from the 80s and 90s. That's what I grew up listening to here and there. And then, of course, everything up until about, I don't know, maybe about like last year, I guess, is where I can remember, you know, being like, this is real hip hop. This is hip hop. The stuff that's going on now, I've never heard of some of these artists. I'm like, man, what is going on? This is new. And it's not to knock them. It's just something that shows just kind of like the generational, the shift that's happening. Like you said, there's a new wave coming in. So we got to kind of show them what we did and then move them forward for the next step for their own building of their culture, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I see that too, because I mean, it just, for example, like when we were growing up, like if we hear like the licensed soundtrack in a video game, it probably has music from the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s in it. You know what I'm saying? Like the Def Jam soundtrack, the Street soundtrack. Like I remember hearing Chief Rocker on like the NBA Street soundtrack and everything like that. And that's a song from like the 90s and everything. That Biggie sample on I live for the fun, I die for the fun, I live for the fun.
Yeah.
That's like old shit, you know what I mean? But now it's not as easy to license those songs for a video game, which leads to you having to license songs for newer artists because it's cheaper. And it's kind of understandable because that's just how the game of music has been. But that also kind of leads to like less of visibility of like old music in those like other types of mediums, as in like video games or even sometimes like TV. Because I remember growing up, this nigga Coolio was on every damn channel. Like,
yes.
Channel Nickelodeon, you know what I'm saying? Or like, you know, like just even like the locks, like I see goddamn Jadakiss on Nickelodeon, like performing on all that. That's something that is lost. Like we don't have that anymore. Like it would be dope to see fucking 21 Savage like, like guest star.
Mm-hmm.
Like that'd be fire, you know what I mean? But we have the
I'd watch that.
yeah, exactly. We have the little moments now, like for example, like the episode of Regular Show where they have like Tyler Creator and Sean Gambino. Like we have examples of that. But even then, I was in high school when that episode came out. So that's back when
Yeah.
those niggas were still relatively early in their careers. So it's not even
And they're getting to that old head stage now. So
like that was back when they were early in their careers. So it's not the same as like having Tyler Creator on your show then isn't the same as having him now. You know what I mean? Because back then, you probably didn't have to do shit to get him on the show because he was just a fan of it. He just liked it. Now he's in so many different bags, has so many different like offers that if you want him, you gotta drop some bread, and that's just the nature.
Exactly.
That's the nature of the game. Like whereas back then you have this nigga Biggie. You have Biggie making guest appearances on Martin and Tupac making guest appearances on A Different World.
Mm-hmm.
Drake, Kendrick,
just popping in.
Kendrick, J. Cole, they don't never be on shit. They don't never be on no TV shows, none of that shit. We don't never see them on nothing like that.
I'll give Drake Degrassi, but I mean that's because he was acting. It's like he pops up on some random show or some episode of I don't know. I don't even watch streaming has really changed how I watch TV.
Yeah.
So I don't really watch a lot of live TV, and know what's going on. I always catch something on the stream.
Yeah.
But it would be cool to see the artists I listen to, show up on an episode or something. I think Quavo was in this show. Was it Star?
Oh yeah.
That yeah. And I was like, okay, it's different, but okay, I see you. It was a little bit of a surprise, but yeah. But you really do bring up some good points, man. Like hip hop, and then also with gaming, and then just melding the two together, it really does. It does something for people like us, especially, but for the whole community, the whole world in general. There's a lot of people who consume hip hop, a lot of people who consume video games. So bring those two together and really, make something special. That's good. I really do applaud you guys. Applaud everybody at EA, especially you, man. Like I said, we follow each other on Twitter. We've been kicking it for a while now, but y'all, you really did that. You really did that.
Appreciate you, man. I really just be wanting to put on and then show like other people like, hey, yo, we can get in this. We can get in this and do some work in there. That's like my biggest goal, like at the end of the day. And then also just, putting on for currently putting on for Need for Speed. Like that's the project I'm on. I don't know how long I'll be on this project. I don't even know how like it works moving in between projects and stuff like that. But like, I like this community because like they see that I like Need for Speed, and because of that, they're willing to work with us when they see like, hey yo, we got a good product. And we say like, hey yo, we got a good product. We really want to hope that you guys like it, and then we fortunately were able to deliver. And I've been able to kind of gain the trust of the community and show like, yo, this is something that we're kind of working towards. Like it's not going to be like an easy process, but we knew that. But y'all see what we're doing, to make this process better. And that's something that I just appreciate because gamers can be like toxic for real, man. That should be crazy. So
yeah, and that's with a lot of the communities in pop culture, man. Like everything's been. Well, we got something coming up to address that, but yeah, the toxicity and a lot of the gaming and movie world and comics, a lot of it's been a little bit much if you think about it. Something drops and everybody's bagging on it, or people are the way they treat each other within those games or within whatever fandom. It's like, come on, man. Like,
yeah, I see that a lot, and I'm just glad that, like I said, we were able to deliver. People are saying that like this is a really good game and stuff like that, and just being able to like support hip hop in that aspect is like doing it with the Houston Hip Hop Museum is like, it's dope. Like, that's always dope. Like, whenever I do stuff like that. But like, whenever I'm able to like involve hip hop in my other jobs, that's when I really feel like I'm winning. You know what I mean? So that's the shit that be dope for real.
There you go, man. Well, hey, I'm really proud of you, bro. I do appreciate you sitting down and talk to me for this episode. If you want to, shout yourself out, shout out your social media pages, your PlayStation, your tags, all that, whatever you want people to follow you on. Where can we tap in with you?
Oh yeah, y'all can hit me up on Twitter at YoungFA4K. That's YUNGFE4K. And then on Instagram, same thing except it's YoungFA10K. And then PlayStation, y'all can hit me up at 10 bands 10K. That's TNBANZ 10K. I'll be on Need for Speed. Hit me on Need for Speed and whatnot.
He handing out L's.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely handing out L's. I'll be embarrassing people crazy over there. So, but yeah, that's just me. And then also follow Houston Hip Hop Museum at HCX Houston Hip Hop Museum. A lot of great events coming soon. We recently celebrated the 40th anniversary of the Nike Air Force One in Houston. Our founders helped organize everything, helped put together a lot of stuff for it. We went out and supported her at that event and stuff like that. They gave us Air Forces and shit. That was fire, you know what I mean? But we got events coming up soon too. I'm really excited for.
There you go, man. Well, that about wraps it up for our episode today. Again, thank you, bro, for not shooting me a message, for sitting down and just shooting the shit with me. If you guys like this episode, go ahead and subscribe on our YouTube on the Podtastic 4. Tap in with us on Twitter. Tap in with us on Spotify, where you're listening to this podcast. Like you said, follow him on all his socials, and just tune in for the next time on the Podtastic 4. We got some cool things coming up. We got some more interviews, some giveaways, and hopefully a few fan events in the future. I got something cooking. I'm working on something. It's going to take a little bit of time, but hopefully we'll get a few things going here in the next couple months, weeks. Guess we'll just see. But that'll be all for tonight, folks, and thanks to y'all for tuning in.
Hey, work with y'all. Y'all have a good one.
All right.
Hey.